I'm also here to introduce one of our really glowing former alums, Lin Pernille Christensen. Lin, I think, is one shining example of one of our recent graduates in the visual artists. During her time as a student at MSU, Lin was actively working with the faculty head of photo to refine both her skills as a fine artist and commercial photography skills. She used both aspects of her education to become a wedding photographer and videographer. She's now based in Jersey City, which is ideally located with close proximity to New York City and northern New Jersey. Lin says she knew she had found her passion during her junior year in college and was encouraged by her faculty advisors to incorporate that love into a photography business. Since then, she has been lucky enough to capture countless weddings and events within the metro region. She also shares her expertise with others as a small business consultant in photography. I might add, wedding photography is a highly competitive field, and a photographer plays a lot of roles while striving to capture the mood, the style, and all the important moments of the day, while simultaneously being attentive yet not obtrusive. In other words, it's not only the mastery of the technical skills, but it's also making the couple feel comfortable during their momentous day. So this is, I think, one of the gifts that Lin brings to her profession. We also feel that the program not only supports a hands-on approach through our curriculum, but also through internship possibilities, and provides a faculty that is well-versed in their own fields of expertise as well. So now I would like to welcome Lin to speak about her own work and practice.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Everything she said was spot on, and I'll elaborate on all of that. So like she said, my name is Lin Pernille Christensen. I graduated from Montclair in 2014, and I was a photography major and a business minor. Are any of you guys interested in photography, thinking about concentrating in it? Cool. Awesome, good. Are any of you guys considering a business minor? Yeah, okay, I definitely highly recommend it. So that was one of the factors that really solidified my decision to go to Montclair. Not only did they have a really great art and photography program, but they also have a really awesome business school. So by going here, I was able to get the best of both worlds. So now, like she said, I own my own photography business based in Jersey City called Lin Pernille Photography, and I specialize mostly in weddings, events, and portraits. But actually, surprisingly enough, when I first attended Montclair, my interest was really in fashion and beauty photography. So most of my project and assignments in the beginning were centered around fashion and beauty. So in my sophomore year, I decided on a whim to apply for an internship at one of my favorite fashion magazines, Harper's Bazaar, in the city, and I got the interview and I ended up getting the internship. The following semester, in my junior year, the director of photography at Allure magazine had actually heard about me, knew that I interned at Harper's Bazaar, and she reached out to me to hire me as her intern. So that just goes to show the power of networking and nurturing those professional relationships. So these internships turned out to be one of the greatest experiences ever. Even though I'm not working in fashion and beauty so much anymore, the experience was so invaluable. I learned everything about the behind the scenes of what goes into producing those images you see in magazines. I learned tons of administrative knowledge, got lots of experience using industry software, how to conduct myself professionally in a corporate environment, and I got to sit in on meetings with the actual editors-in-chief of the magazines. And my favorite part, I got to assist on photo shoots with some of my fashion photography idols. Not only was it a great experience, but I was able to actually receive college credit for those internships. So each internship I earned 3 independent study credits for. And because I lived on campus, I lived in Freeman Hall and then the Village, it was super easy to just hop on a bus or a train and commute in and out of the city, and I was still able to keep up a 15 credit course load at the same time that I did my internships. So I heard a lot of you guys are into fashion design, right? A bunch of you, yep. So I know that, so I interned for the photography department in the magazines, but they also have fashion internships. So if you're interested in fashion design, I highly recommend looking into an internship in a fashion magazine. So things shifted for me a little bit in 2011 when I photographed my first wedding. So after I shot that first wedding, something just clicked. I realized that wedding photography was a great fit for me. It combined all of the areas of photography that I loved. So when you're shooting a wedding, there's a big photojournalistic aspect. So you always have to be ready to capture all the moments that are going on throughout the day. So you want to capture emotion. You want to capture fun moments, sentimental emotions. And there's also a big still life aspect. When you're shooting a wedding, there are tons of details that go into planning a wedding, and it's your job as the photographer to capture every single detail. So things like the groom's cufflinks or bow tie, bouquet, the ring, any stationery, the invitations, centerpieces, the shoes. And coincidentally enough, there actually is a really big fashion and beauty aspect when you're shooting a wedding. If you think about it, your ultimate goal as a photographer is to make the bride and groom feel like they could be models on the cover of a magazine. So I was able to translate a lot of what I learned about fashion and beauty into my wedding photography. So things like how to pose the couple, how to find the most flattering light for your subject, and how to interact with your subject and bring out emotion from them. So in 2013, I was taking Klaus Schnitzer's commercial photography class, probably my favorite class of all of my classes at Montclair. And we got to go on a bunch of studio visits and hear from commercial photographers who had their own businesses. And that really solidified it in my mind that this is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to have my own business and be a commercial photographer. So I actually decided I didn't want to wait any longer. That April, before the semester was even over, I decided to incorporate my business and I started my LLC. So since then, my business is about to turn 5 years old, and I photographed almost 100 weddings. I think my count is in the 90s, so I'm about to hit 100. And I've been able to photograph so many different styles and cultures of weddings and witness so many different traditions. In addition to weddings, I also shoot proposals, so that's kind of like a fun way to switch it up. I get to conspire with the groom to surprise his fiance. And I also have a little studio in part of my condo where I can fold out backdrops and shoot things like headshots, portraits, and baby photos. And I also shoot a whole bunch of events, so things like baby showers, bridal showers, parties, all types of events. And I also shoot a lot of corporate events, so being in Jersey City, I'm really close to New York City, so I go over there a lot to shoot things like fundraisers, red carpet events. I've actually been able to shoot some celebrities, so Ruben Studdard from American Idol a long time ago, Eliza Dushku, who was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Bring It On, and model Christy Turlington and actress Meryl Streep. So my latest business venture was actually last year. I started an educational branch to my business. So I teach workshops and courses to photographers of all levels called Lin Pernille Education. So I have online courses, I also have in-person workshops, and I have a whole bunch of resources on my website having to do with all of the nitty-gritty of running your own photography business. So my advice to you guys would be make your college curriculum customized to you. So I know that there is that list of required courses that you have to take for your major, but when it comes to choosing your electives, take classes outside of your major or concentration. For instance, I took screen printing, book arts, all of these really valuable classes outside of photography that I was able to now use in my business. And you never know, you might discover that you have a hidden talent or interest for something. And also choose classes that you think could complement your career down the line. For instance, there was a class I wanted to take my senior year called Services Marketing, which I thought sounded super relevant to my business, but it was only offered to business majors, but all I had to do was ask my advisor and the professor for permission, and they were more than happy to let me in. The wider your area of expertise is, the more it boosts your resume and sets you apart from others when you graduate. What's really nice about going to a liberal arts university versus just an art school is that you're able to get a well-rounded education here. So like I said, you can take classes in art as well as science or math or psychology or writing or business or whatever you're interested in. And if you have another interest outside of art, I definitely recommend minoring in it. And even if you think your course load won't be able to fit a full minor, just take little classes here and there to broaden your horizons a little bit. And like I said, internships and experience are so valuable. Use your years here in college to build your portfolio, your network, and your resume. And if you have an idol that you would love to work with, don't be afraid to reach out to them. That's how I was able to intern on some shoots with my favorite fashion photographers. I just reached out. You never know what they would say. Believe it or not, your idols are humans too, and everybody needs help. And believe it or not, people like being able to mentor and help out an aspiring artist. So that's it. I'm on every single social media. I'm Lin Pernille. Feel free to follow me, and that's my photography website and education website. And I think we're going to do questions at the end of both presentations. So if you have any questions, more than happy to answer, but save them again.
If you wanted to be a photographer owning your own business the way you did, how hard is it to build enough clientele that you can afford to pay your bills?
Yeah, so I mean, it takes some years to build it up. So what I recommend is doing what I did, start early, start while you're in college. I actually started way back in high school. So I was doing freelance jobs here and there, of course, for less money, less clients in the beginning, but it really snowballs on itself. So the more clients you have, the more word of mouth you build. So they'll tell their friends, and then when they get married, they go to you, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, if you crunch your own numbers, if you know how much you charge for your services, you'll know how many clients you need to kind of sustain a salary to get you by, and then it really only goes up from there.
And so would you say most of your new business is word of mouth? Like what
Oh,
percentage?
99% is word of mouth. I, in the beginning of my business, did a lot of paid advertising, so I did Google AdWords, Facebook ads, print ads in like magazines, and to be honest, I would maybe get one lead from each of those things, and now word of mouth is incredible. I shot a wedding over this past summer, and my clients just blow about me. They basically do my advertising for me. So they rave about me on Facebook, they tell their friends. I even had that specific couple, I guess it was like a friend of a friend, was having a bar mitzvah for her daughter, and she had already booked another photographer and paid a deposit. But because this bride was glowing about me, she literally gave up that deposit to book with me. So no amount of paid advertising can convince someone as much as word of mouth. It's incredible, yeah. So that's why it's really important to just give your clients the best client experience. It's worth it. Questions about Montclair?
Did you live on campus or commute?
Yep, I lived on campus all 4 years. Yep, so I lived Freeman Hall 2 years and Village 2 years. I commuted. A lot of people commute though, yeah.
What's the experience like, in comparison? You're living on campus. I lived here basically, although I commuted. So I think you just get so invested in the work too, that even if you commute, the departments are so family-like in a sense as well, community-based, that I was here all the time.
Yep. So I would say living on campus makes it easier to be here all the time, literally. So basically, it's much easier to, after your classes, go into the studio to work on your project or meet with friends or shoot on campus or whatever. Yeah, so basically, like she said, if you're a commuter, it's just getting here to work on your project. But I love living here, yeah. It's cold, but I love living here. Yeah.
What student organizations were you both involved with, and which ones were your favorite?
I was an undergraduate admissions ambassador, and I started doing that since I did it when I was a freshman through. Extremely valuable, just a great way to meet people like yourselves, right? So I did touring around campus. It helped me learn more about the opportunities at Montclair as well. So beyond just graphic design or visual communications, and I learned more about the residential halls and the different opportunities in the student center. It was a great way to build leadership and just communication skills as well. That was a huge experience for myself.
And I'll be honest, I can't really remember any specific organization I was a part of the whole time. I kind of like went with friends to different organizations, but I kind of just dove into my course load. I took a minimum of 18 credits the entire time I was here, 18 to 21. My last semester I took 15 credits, so I basically just piled on my course load. So
You had no time for
I really didn't, yeah, unfortunately no, but I loved what I was doing, so it was totally fine for me.
For each one of you, which was your favorite course that you took in class?
Okay, so my favorite photography course was commercial photography with Klaus Schnitzer. And my favorite business class, they started the program my last year here, unfortunately, but there's a great business class called Entrepreneurial Mindset, which was like dead on perfect. It was actually very art-based and creativity-based and had to innovate and come up with new ideas, but it also talked a lot about business basics, how to start your own business and things like that.
I have two. I liked Design and Visual Culture with Jonathan Schropp, which was a fantastic overview of the history of design and just, all the different aspects that go into understanding visual communications. And Anthony was my professor for Advanced 2 in graphic design, and this is right before while you're preparing to graduate. And I think one of the most valuable experiences I received out of this was not only a sense of mentorship, but also the dynamic of how the class is taught. So it's really giving you the opportunity to understand how to manage your time, how to manage your workload and your projects, and that's very true to what you have in beyond graduation, right? So I think there's a nice sense of dynamic there where you're able to build skills and understanding how to speak with a team or with a mentor and really build a portfolio that's going to be successful when you graduate.
Maybe this one is more for Jessica, but
Sure.
you mentioned about SBA and knowing what's going on in the business.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about, I'm always hearing how there are fields that are hiring artists that
Sure.
in the past you would never think would hire artists. Where do you see new opportunities opening up for people with any type of artistic ability?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what's really valuable about an undergrad degree at Montclair is, so visual communications is a BFA, right? But what I'm getting at SBA is an MPS degree, so it's a Master's in Professional Studies. It's the equivalent of an MBA, but it's more focused just on branding. So I think with the industry as we're seeing it right now, to have applied for the program as a designer, right, and having my experience be in the art field or in the art and design field, to apply that to a business degree now is very interesting because the industry is looking for, I want to say that multifaceted in the sense that it's special to be a designer and have that kind of skill set then in a business sense. So when you're looking to open up your opportunities in the professional field, like myself, I'm working as a brand designer, but I'm heading up a lot of marketing and communications. I have a different seat at the table in a sense when you can combine a lens that's design, but also have the vocabulary or the knowledge that is business and understanding a lot of what Lin's talked about in her business herself. So I think SBA is valuable in the master's degree as far as to have a focused degree like that. And I think what is really unique coming out of Montclair is you're going to get a very well-rounded perspective of everything that could go into it. So a lot of what I learned here has allowed me to have a larger conversation in my master's program. And I think that kind of combination is very valuable in the industry. So branding is specific to myself, but it's a lot of strategy work, so it's business strategy as well. And I think employers are absolutely looking for artists, designers that also have that sense of vocabulary.
I'll just add one more thing, also not being a designer, but I have some friends who are graphic designers for other companies. So to be a graphic designer, you don't have to work at a graphic design firm. I know friends who are the in-house designer at a completely unrelated business. So a construction company might have an in-house graphic designer. And also personally, I have my own business. I'm a photographer. And a lot of people like me outsource their graphic design to freelance graphic designers. So they'll do their websites for them, their business cards, their logos. So the options are really endless. Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you guys say that what you're doing now, like your career now, like you want to do for the rest of your life, like that's your set, like that's what you want to do, you don't want to second thoughts? Like I remember you said you had multiple spots before you came to where you are now.
Sure.
Would you say that that's where you want to stay? Like you would leave or?
Yeah, so my route was interesting because when I graduated, I worked as a book cover designer. I actually, through my Advanced 2 class, Anthony had brought in a panel, if you'd say, of professionals that reviewed our portfolio. And one of them was John Gall, who's a fantastic book cover designer, and he reviewed my work, and he actually connected me with Gabrielle Wilson, where I went to, and then to Simon & Schuster, and doing book cover design was fantastic, and I really love and enjoy it, but I'm very passionate about design and strategy in combination, and branding really helped me to find that. So I think right now where I am is perfect in the sense of what I want to do. But I think having different experiences is very valuable. So even in my master's program, I'm able to have larger conversation because I've understood publishing, or I've understood pharmaceutical, or I've understood business strategy, and all of that is very valuable to the world of print.
And I would definitely say yes. I am one of the very few people who knew what they wanted to do very early on. I first got interested in photography when I was 14, and I'm 25 now, so that's almost half my life. And I have not really wavered whatsoever. The only way I wavered was from fashion to weddings. But yeah, I think if anything, I might kind of shift my direction, so maybe shooting, I don't know, different types of things. But in terms of photography, I absolutely love it. I love what I do.
What are some other fields you could go into, like using the skills from wedding photography? Because I feel like a lot of the photos I do would be like weddings, so like canvas portraits and stuff, but I don't necessarily want to go into weddings.
Okay, so you're saying what other fields of photography are there, or?
Well, I'm saying like using those same techniques.
Okay, so like you like the way of shooting a wedding, but you don't necessarily want to do weddings, or? If you like events that aren't weddings, there's a huge field of wedding or event photography, or product photography is a great one. Like I said, some companies have in-house product photographers. Portraits, just like headshots, professional portraiture.